Hello everyone and welcome. Today, I am so excited to share one of my absolute favorite recipes. It's my foolproof, go-to guide for a truly luxurious chocolate cake that, you won't believe this, is made almost entirely in a blender. It's the perfect blend of rich, decadent flavor and just surprising simplicity.
You know, this isn't just any cake. This is my signature recipe. It makes a beautiful family-sized cake that's so elegant and tastes even better than it looks, if you can believe it. It's my secret weapon for dinner parties, birthdays, or honestly just a Tuesday when you really need something special. It's just so fresh, so decadent, perfect for any occasion.
Okay, let's dive right in. So what makes this cake so special? Well, it has that deep, rich, satisfying flavor of a classic butter cake, but you get it with the incredible ease of a blender recipe. You get all of that luxury with none of the fuss, and that right there is why it's become my absolute go-to.
Now, before we even touch the ingredients for the batter itself, we have to start with the foundation, the pan. Getting this part right is absolutely the key to making sure your beautiful cake comes out perfectly every single time, with no sticking.
This batter is pretty generous, which is great because it means you have a couple of options. Today, I'm using a classic loaf pan, but a 26cm round pan works just as beautifully. It's really up to you and the kind of look you're going for.
So here's the crucial two-step prep. First, you're going to generously grease the inside of your pan with some butter or even ghee. Then, and this is a great little trick, instead of flour, we're going to dust it with unsweetened cocoa powder. This not only stops it from sticking, but it adds this other subtle layer of chocolatey goodness.
Once you've got it nicely coated, just give the pan a few firm taps over the sink or some parchment paper to knock out any extra cocoa. And just like that, your pan is perfectly prepped and ready to go. Let's set that aside and get to the really fun part. This is where the magic really happens. Seriously. The blender does all the heavy lifting for us. It's going to whip so much air into the base of our batter, and that's what creates a wonderfully light and airy cake. No stand mixer needed.
All right, into the blender go our first set of ingredients. We'll start with 3 large eggs, and make sure they're at room temperature. This is really important because it helps create more volume. To that, you'll add 1 cup of sugar and a teaspoon of vanilla extract.
Okay, this next step is completely non-negotiable. You're going to blend these ingredients on high speed for a minimum of 3 full minutes. I know, it sounds like a long time, but this is what builds the entire structure of the cake. So set a timer and let it go.
What you're looking for here is a total transformation. The mixture should become really light and pale, and it should almost double in volume. A good test is to rub a little between your fingers. You shouldn't feel any grainy sugar crystals. All that air we just whipped in is what gives us that amazing, soft, spongy texture. Once you've got that beautiful airy base, go ahead and add half a cup of melted butter, make sure it's cooled down a bit, and half a cup of room temperature milk. Now, from here on out, just pulse the blender a few times. I mean literally, just until everything is combined. We don't want to knock out all that lovely air we just worked so hard to create.
Okay, the blender's work is done. For this next part, we're moving over to a large bowl, and it is all about having a gentle touch. We've got to preserve that wonderful light texture we've built. So go ahead and pour your blended mixture into a nice big bowl. Now for our dry ingredients. We need 1½ cups of all-purpose flour, 3 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa powder, and 1 whole tablespoon of baking powder. Sift all of those together directly over the wet mixture. The technique here is so important. Using a spatula, you're going to fold the dry ingredients into the wet. That means you scrape down the side of the bowl and bring the batter from the bottom up and over the top. Just keep doing that gentle motion until you don't see any more streaks of flour. Whatever you do, do not overmix. Before this goes in the oven, here's a little trick I absolutely love. Pour your batter into the prepared pan. Then, just dip a spatula in a tiny bit of melted butter and draw one single straight line right down the middle of the batter. This encourages the cake to crack neatly right along that line as it bakes, and it gives it a really beautiful, professional look. All right, we are on to the finishing touches. This is where we bake the cake to perfection, cool it properly, and then add that gorgeous chocolate topping. We're almost there. The baking instructions are super simple. You're going to bake it in a preheated oven at 170 degrees Celsius, that's about 340 Fahrenheit, right on the middle rack for about 45 minutes. You'll know it's done when a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. Once it's out of the oven, a little bit of patience is key. Let it cool in the pan for just about 5 minutes. This lets it set up a bit so it's not too fragile. Then, you can confidently turn it out onto a wire rack to cool the rest of the way without it breaking.
Now, this cake is amazing on its own, but this topping, oh, it takes it to a whole other level. You'll need 100 grams of milk chocolate and 100 grams of white chocolate. Melt them in separate bowls, each with 1 tablespoon of a neutral oil, like canola or vegetable oil. That little bit of oil is the secret to getting a perfect, smooth drizzle. We'll drizzle the milk chocolate first, then the white chocolate right over it.
And to get that really elegant marbled effect, it's so easy. After you've drizzled both chocolates, just take a skewer and gently drag it through the chocolate in one direction, creating lines. Then, wipe the skewer clean and drag it through in the opposite direction. It creates this stunning pattern with almost zero effort.
And there you have it. After you let that chocolate set for a bit, you were left with an absolutely, truly irresistible slice of cake. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. And the payoff is just immense. The texture is incredible. It's so soft, so moist, so spongy. When you combine that perfect crumb with the chocolate topping, it honestly feels like you're eating a fancy piece of gâteau from some high-end bakery. It's that good. So, to sum it all up, this recipe really does give you the best of both worlds. You get that deep, satisfying flavor you expect from a classic butter cake, but you get it with the fast, easy, and practically foolproof preparation of a blender cake. It is an absolute game changer. The final cake is just fluffy, moist, and so incredibly Moorish, you will not be able to stop at one slice. So now that you have this secret weapon in your baking arsenal, what special occasion are you going to make it for first? I hope you enjoy it.